The handcuffs bit into Nathaniel's wrists like the cold bite of winter wind off Lake Erie, yanking him backward just as the first siren wailed through the quiet streets of Cleveland's west side. "You think you're slick, Nate? Hiding your little secrets in the basement?" His uncle's voice snarled from the shadows of the family garage, the words slicing deeper than the zip ties digging into his skin. In that frozen heartbeat, as the red and blue lights painted the brick walls of his childhood home in erratic flashes, Nathaniel realized the baggies of white powder scattered across the workbench weren't his. They were a noose, tied by the very hands that had raised him. He'd come home for the funeral, or what was left of it. Grandpa Elias, the old steelworker who chain-smoked camels on the back porch while spinning tales of Union strikes and forbidden loves from the glory days of the mills, had finally coughed his last in that hospice bed overlooking the Cuyahoga. Nathaniel had driven 12 hours straight from his shoebox apartment in Chicago, the kind of place where the radiator clanged like a bad hangover and the neighbors blasted Tejano music through paper-thin walls. He was 28, a graphic designer scraping by on freelance gigs for indie bands and coffee shops, but Chicago felt like freedom. Messy. Anonymous freedom where a guy could kiss another guy in a dive bar without the whole neighborhood dialing up the cops. Back in Cleveland, though, the air still smelled like rust and regret. The Hayes family had always been a knot of blue-collar pride. Dad's side mostly. Mom had bailed when Nathaniel was 6, chasing some dream in California that never panned out. Uncle Ray ran the show now, a burly ex-cop with a gut from too many White Castles and a mouth full of slurs whenever the Browns lost. Cousins milled around like they owned the place, trading stories over lukewarm hams at the wake, but Nathaniel kept to the edges, nursing a plastic cup of flat beer and avoiding eye contact. Grandpa had been the anchor, the one who'd slipped him a dog-eared copy of Giovanni's Room when he was 16, whispering, "World's bigger than this town, kid. Don't let 'em clip your wings." The basement search started innocent enough. "Just checking for valuables," Aunt Linda had said, her voice syrupy with that fake concern she reserved for church potlucks. But when the garage door rattled open hours later, and Uncle Ray emerged with those plastic bags pinched between his thick fingers, triumph gleaming in his eyes, Nathaniel knew it was over. "Found this in your old room, Nate. Heroin? Really? After all Elias did for you?" "It's not mine," Nathaniel choked out, heart hammering as the cruiser doors slammed shut behind him. The neighbors were already gathering, Mrs. Kowalski from next door clutching her robe like a shield, whispering to her husband about "that queer boy always was trouble." The cop, a kid barely out of the academy with a buzz cut and a name tag reading Officer Hale, read him his rights in a monotone that made it all feel scripted, inevitable. As they shoved him into the back seat, the vinyl sticking to his jeans, Nathaniel caught a glimpse of the family portrait on the living room window. Grandpa front and center, arm around a teenage Nathaniel, both grinning like they owned the world. Now it looked like a lie. Processing at the station was a blur of fluorescent hell. Fingerprints smudged black on his palms, the metallic tang of fear in his throat, and that endless intake form where he scrawled innocent in the margins like it mattered. By midnight, he was in a holding cell that reeked of bleach and despair, the bench hard against his spine as he curled into himself. How had it come to this? The family had known he was gay since high school. Whispers after that disastrous prom where he ditched his date for a smoke with the theater kids. But they tolerated it in that gritted-teeth Midwestern way, as long as he didn't flaunt it. Grandpa had been the exception, pulling him aside one summer evening by the grill, burgers sizzling, and saying, "Love who you love, Nate. Blood don't mean shit if it don't run true." Dawn crept in through the barred window, gray and unforgiving, when the guard banged on the bars. "Hayes, lawyer." Nathaniel stumbled to his feet, legs numb, expecting some public defender with coffee breath and a caseload from hell. Instead, the man waiting in the consultation room was Isaiah Cole, tall, broad-shouldered, with skin like polished walnut and eyes that held the steady burn of Lake Michigan sunsets. He was in a crisp button-down that hugged his frame just right, sleeves rolled to reveal forearms corded from weekend hikes, and a leather satchel slung over one shoulder. "Mr. Hayes? I'm Isaiah, your grandfather's estate attorney." Nathaniel blinked, the name tugging at a fuzzy memory. Grandpa mentioning him once, over Thanksgiving turkey, Sharp as a tack, that one. Handles my affairs now. But seeing him here, in this sterile room with its scuffed linoleum and buzzing lights, felt like a lifeline tossed into a riptide. What? How did you? Isaiah slid into the chair opposite, his voice low and measured, like he was calming a spooked horse. Elias called me 2 days before he passed. Said you might need me. Told me everything, about the family, the pressure, how they've been circling since you came out. And this. He tapped a manila envelope on the table, sealed with red wax that bore Grandpa's initials. He updated his will. You're the sole heir, Nathaniel. Everything, the house, the savings, the mill pension. But there's a catch. It's contingent on you being cleared of any false accusations. He knew they might try something. The words landed like a punch, stealing Nathaniel's breath. Cleared? Heir? Grandpa hadn't just suspected. He'd planned for this betrayal, wrapping Nathaniel in a safety net woven from years of quiet vigilance. Tears pricked hot at the corners of his eyes, but he swallowed them down, nodding as Isaiah outlined the next steps. Bail hearing at 10, character witnesses lined up, and a private investigator already sniffing around the garage for prints that didn't match his. You're not alone in this, Isaiah said, his hand brushing Nathaniel's across the table, a fleeting warmth that sent a spark up his arm. Elias made sure of that. By noon, bail was posted. Isaiah's doing, no questions asked, and Nathaniel stepped out into the crisp November air, the city humming around him like it hadn't just tried to swallow him whole. Isaiah waited by a sleek black Honda, keys jingling. My place? It's safer than going back to the house till we sort this. Nathaniel hesitated, the weight of the envelope in his jacket pocket like an anchor, but those eyes, dark, unwavering, pulled him in. Yeah, he murmured, sliding into the passenger seat. Let's go. Isaiah's apartment was in Ohio City, a converted warehouse loft with exposed brick and windows that framed the skyline like a promise. It smelled of fresh coffee and sandalwood, worlds away from the musty haze basement. They didn't talk much at first. Nathaniel paced the hardwood floors, replaying the night's horrors, while Isaiah brewed a pot strong enough to wake the dead. Tell me about him, Isaiah said finally, handing over a mug. Elias, what was he like? Nathaniel sank onto the leather couch, the steam curling between them. Stubborn old bird. Worked the mills 40 years. Lost 2 fingers to a press in 78 but never complained. Loved jazz, Miles Davis on vinyl, late nights. And he got me. When Dad walked out after I told him about, liking boys, Grandpa just pulled me into the garage and taught me to rebuild a carburetor. Said tools fix what words can't. Isaiah listened, chin propped on his fist, a soft smile playing at his lips that made Nathaniel's chest ache in a new way. Not fear, but something tender, uncharted. By evening, over takeout lo mein from the corner spot, the stories flowed easier. Grandpa's secret flask of bourbon hidden in the shed, the way he'd wink at the TV during Will and Grace reruns. Laughter bubbled up, surprising them both, and when their knees brushed under the coffee table, neither pulled away. That night, sleep came fitful on the guest bed, dreams tangled with sirens and baggies and Grandpa's gravelly laugh. But in the quiet hours, Nathaniel heard footsteps, soft, deliberate, and Isaiah appeared in the doorway, silhouetted by hallway light. Can't sleep either? He whispered. No. Nathaniel sat up, sheets pooling around his waist. Isaiah crossed the room in 2 strides, perching on the bed's edge. The air thickened, charged like the storm clouds rolling off the lake. Thank you, Nathaniel said, voice rough, for everything. Isaiah's hand found his, thumb tracing slow circles on the back. Elias was family to me too, in a way. He trusted me with his secrets. Ones even your blood didn't know. Their eyes locked, and in that gaze, Nathaniel saw it. Not pity, but hunger mirrored back. He leaned in first, tentative, lips brushing Isaiah's in a question. The answer came fierce. A kiss that tasted of salt and possibility, hands roaming with the urgency of men who'd waited too long for grace. They tumbled together, clothes shedding like old skins, bodies mapping each other in the dim glow. Isaiah's touch was reverent, fingers ghosting over scars from playground falls and a tattoo on Nathaniel's ribcage. A small rainbow flag inked on his 21st birthday, Grandpa's gift of a needle and ink instead of judgment. Whispers filled the dark. I've wanted this since the first time Elias showed me your photo. Isaiah confessed against his neck, breath hot. Nathaniel arched, gasping, the world narrowing to the press of muscle and the rhythm of hearts sinking like bass lines in a smoky club. Dawn found them tangled, sunlight slanting through blinds to paint stripes on sweat-damp skin. For the first time in years, Nathaniel woke without the ghost of Cleveland's judgment pressing down. But as Isaiah stirred, murmuring coffee promises, the phone buzzed. Uncle Ray's number. We need to talk, Nate, before the cops dig deeper. The voice was oily, laced with threat. Nathaniel's stomach twisted. The fight was just beginning. The Hayes family compound squatted on a corner lot in Parma, Ohio, like a fortress built from faded ambition, 2 stories of vinyl siding peeling at the edges, a chain-link fence sagging under the weight of overgrown ivy, and a driveway cracked like the fault lines in Grandpa's stories of the '73 strike. Nathaniel gripped the steering wheel of Isaiah's Honda until his knuckles blanched. The engine's low hum the only sound between them as they pulled up at noon sharp. You sure about this? Isaiah asked, hand on his thigh, a steadying anchor that made Nathaniel's pulse stutter. No, but if we're gonna blow this open, better from the inside. He killed the ignition, the sudden silence amplifying the distant bark of a neighbor's mutt. Isaiah nodded, slipping the manila envelope into his satchel like a loaded gun. I'll handle the legalese. You just breathe. The front door creaked open before they knocked, Aunt Linda's face appearing in the gap, pale, pinched, her perm frizzing in the humidity. Nate, Ray's in the kitchen. No hug, no questions about the night in lockup. Just that flat Ohio pragmatism masking the rot underneath. They filed in, the house swallowing them whole. Faded wallpaper from the '80s, the tick of Grandpa's mantel clock like a countdown. Uncle Ray loomed at the Formica table, a mug of Folgers steaming in his paw, eyes narrowing at Isaiah like he was sizing up a rival union rep. Sit, Ray grunted, gesturing with his chin. Nathaniel took the chair opposite, Isaiah flanking him like a shield. The air hung heavy with the scent of bacon grease and unspoken accusations. Look, kid, this don't have to get uglier. Cops are sniffing around, but family's family. You cop to the stash. Maybe do some community service. It's not mine, Ray. You know that. Nathaniel's voice cracked like thin ice, but he held the man's gaze, the betrayal burning fresh. Planted it to what? Teach me a lesson? For who I am. Ray's laugh was a bark, devoid of mirth. Who you are, that's rich. Parading around with your Chicago ferry friends, embarrassing Elias in his last days. He deserved better than a junkie grandson. The word landed like a slap, and Linda flinched in the doorway, twisting her dish rag. Cousins hovered in the hall. Mark with his beer gut, Tina nursing a toddler on her hip, watching like it was Sunday football. Isaiah cleared his throat, unfolding the will with deliberate calm. Mr. Hayes, this is Elias Hayes' last testament, executed 3 weeks ago. Nathaniel is the primary beneficiary. The property, $240,000 in assets, full control of the pension fund. But Clause 7.2 is explicit. Any attempt to discredit or harm the heir voids all familial claims, including yours, Ray. You planted that evidence, you lose everything. The kitchen went tomb silent, Ray's mug hitting the table with a thud that sloshed coffee across the coasters. His face mottled red, veins bulging like rusted pipes. You threatening me, boy? Some fancy nigger lawyer thinks he can waltz in here. Watch your mouth, Nathaniel snapped, surging to his feet, chair scraping linoleum. Adrenaline surged, hot and righteous. For once, the fear tasted like fight. Isaiah's hand on his arm was iron, grounding, unyielding. We're not threatening. We're stating facts. The PI's report hits the DA tomorrow. Your prints on every bag, Ray. And the security cam from the alley catches you dumping him in the garage at 2 a.m. Bluff, mostly, Isaiah had pulled strings for a rush on forensics, but the cam was a hunch. It worked. Ray deflated like a punctured tire, slumping back. "It was for the family," he muttered, eyes darting to Linda, who wouldn't meet them. Elias was gonna leave it all to the church or the VFW. Not to. We had to protect the name. Protect. Nathaniel's laugh was bitter, echoing off the cupboards. "You framed me for drugs because I'm gay. That's not protection, that's poison." The words hung, raw and exposed, and for a split second, he saw it in Ray's eyes. Not just hate, but fear. The fear of a man who'd buried his own doubts under layers of macho bullshit, watching his world crack. Isaiah steered them out before fists flew, the door slamming like punctuation. In the car, Nathaniel's hands shook, the dam breaking in great, gulping sobs. Isaiah pulled over by the park, the one where Grandpa used to push him on swings, and gathered him close across the console. "You did good," he murmured, lips to temple. "Brave as hell." They stayed like that till dusk, the radio murmuring oldies, Sam Cooke crooning about a change gonna come. When they finally drove on, it was to Isaiah's loft, where the city lights twinkled like distant stars. Dinner was pizza from Mama Santa's, greasy slices folded New York style even though they were miles from there, and beer from the fridge that fizzed open with a promise of normalcy. They ate cross-legged on the floor, backs to the couch, trading slices and stories. Isaiah's life unspooled easy. Born in Detroit, law degree from Wayne State, a practice built on pro bono for the overlooked, immigrants, outcasts, folks the system chewed up. "You ever think about going back?" Nathaniel asked, cheese stringing from his lip. "To the Motor City?" Isaiah shrugged, eyes crinkling. "Nah, Cleveland's got its hooks in me. The lake, the mills, feels like home, ghosts and all. Besides," he added, voice dropping playful, "got a certain graphic designer keeping me anchored now." Heat bloomed in Nathaniel's cheeks, but he leaned in, sealing it with a kiss that started sweet and soured into hunger. They migrated to the bedroom, shedding clothes in a trail like breadcrumbs, falling onto sheets that smelled of citrus detergent. This time was slower, exploratory. Isaiah's mouth charting the freckles across Nathaniel's chest, hands kneading hips with a tenderness that bordered on worship. "Beautiful," Isaiah breathed, as Nathaniel gasped under him, fingers threading dark curls. "All of you." Pleasure built like a summer storm, crashing in waves that left them breathless, entwined. After, in the hush, Nathaniel traced the scar on Isaiah's collarbone, a knife fight from his teen years in the D. "Elias helped me get clean," Isaiah admitted, voice muffled against shoulder. "Paid for rehab when no one else would." Said I reminded him of himself. Young, angry, loving wrong in a world that don't forgive. Nathaniel's heart clenched. He saved us both then. The next days blurred into a rhythm. Mornings in Isaiah's office downtown, poring over case files amid stacks of legal pads and the hum of the coffee maker. Afternoons walking the flats, where the river wound lazy under graffitied bridges, hands brushing casual till they found a bench and tangled proper. Isaiah introduced him to his circle. Jada, the paralegal with locks and a laugh like thunder, who grilled Nathaniel on his latest designs over wings at the Velvet Dog. Marcus, the barista at Blue Canyon who slipped them free lattes and eyed Isaiah with knowing smirks. But the shadow lingered. Calls from Tina, cousinly concern laced with probes. Ray's talking settlement. Nate, drop the charges, we all move on. Nathaniel hung up each time, nausea rising. Then the mail came. A letter from the DA, charges dropped, evidence inadmissible. Freedom on paper. But the real cage was the family rift, festering. One evening, after a gallery opening where Nathaniel's posters for a queer poetry slam hung bold on the walls, they celebrated at the Barking Spider, folk tunes strumming under string lights. Mulled wine warmed their veins, and on the dance floor, polished oak sticky with spills. Isaiah pulled him close, bodies swaying to a cover of Wagon Wheel. "Marry me?" Isaiah whispered, half laugh, half serious, into his ear. Nathaniel's world tilted, joy sharp as shattered glass. "Yes," he breathed, before doubt could creep in. They sealed it with a kiss that drew whistles from the crowd, unashamed. But betrayal's echo is long. 2 nights later, pounding at the loft door, Ray, drunk and wild-eyed, flanked by Mark. "You ruined us, you little shit." Spittle flew as he lunged, but Isaiah was faster, shoving him back with a forearm like rebar. Fists flew in the hall, grunts and thuds echoing off brick. Nathaniel joined the fray, tackling Mark, the old wrestling moves from high school surfacing primal. Sirens wailed distant, neighbors' doors cracking open. Cops hauled them away, Ray and Mark to cool off downtown, but the damage stuck. Bruises bloomed purple on Isaiah's jaw, a split lip on Nathaniel's. In the ER, stitches and ice packs, they held hands under the thin blanket, the doctor's monotone a drone. "Family?" the nurse asked, eyeing them. "Thicker than blood," Isaiah muttered, squeezing tight. As they limped home, the city asleep around them, Nathaniel felt the fracture deepen. Love was a bomb, but wounds like these, they scarred. Winter clamped down on Cleveland like a vice. The lake effect snow piling drifts against Isaiah's windows till the world outside blurred white. Nathaniel woke to the scrape of shovels on sidewalks, the radiator's hiss a counterpoint to the ache in his side from Mark's boot. Isaiah was already up, flipping pancakes in boxers that rode low on his hips, humming "Ain't No Mountain High Enough" off-key. Domesticity, Nathaniel thought, watching him, this quiet miracle amid the storm. They'd filed the paperwork that week. Charges against Ray pending, the will probated clean. Grandpa's assets transferred seamless. The house deeded to Nathaniel with a notary's stamp like absolution. But selling it? That was a bridge rotted through. "Go back," Isaiah urged over breakfast, syrup dripping from his fork. "Face it, or it'll haunt you forever." So they drove out that afternoon, the Accord fishtailing on salted roads, wipers batting fat flakes. The house looked smaller under its shroud, chimney puffing smoke from Linda's fire. She met them on the porch, bundled in a parka 2 sizes too big. "Grandpa's," Nathaniel realized with a pang. "He's gone," she said flatly, jerking her head inside. Tina took the kids to her ma's. Said it was too much. Ray sat in the recliner, nursing a highball, the room dim with drawn shades. His face was a roadmap of regret. Haggard, unshaven, the cop swagger leached out. "Sit," he rasped, same as before, but the fight was gone. Isaiah hung back by the door, satchel at ready, while Nathaniel took the couch, the springs groaning like old bones. "Why?" Nathaniel asked, voice steady despite the churn. "Grandpa loved you, Ray. Taught you everything, the garage, the mill. And you did this." Ray swirled his glass, ice clinking judgment. "Wasn't always like that. Elias. He had his secrets too. Back in the day, after Nana died, he'd disappear weekends to that jazz club in the Hollows, came home reeking of smoke and other men." The admission hung, shocking in its plainness. Nathaniel's breath caught. Grandpa, the widower saint, cruising shadows? It reframed everything, a mosaic shifting. "He told me once," Ray continued, eyes distant, "begged me not to tell, said it was his burden. But when you started acting like him, bringing shame, I thought, fix it quick before it spread. The drugs? Easy score from a CI. Thought it'd scare you straight, send you packing quiet." Isaiah snorted from the doorway. "Scare him straight into prison. Real Christian of you." Ray's gaze flicked up, venom flickering. "And you, poking your nose in family business. Elias hired you 'cause he felt guilty, throwing scraps to strays. But this," he waved at them, the air between crackling. "It's unnatural, boy. Corrupts everything." Nathaniel's temper flared, hot as forge fire. "Unnatural? Love's the most natural damn thing there is. Grandpa knew that. Why do you think he left it all to me? Not the church, not the VFW, not you with your beer gut and your bigotry. Me. Because blood don't mean shit without heart." The words detonated. Ray lurching up, glass shattering on the hearth. Linda cried out, but Nathaniel was on his feet, chest to chest, the old man's breath sour with whiskey. "You ain't no Hayes," Ray hissed. Not anymore. Isaiah stepped in then, voice like steel wool. Sign the affidavit, Ray. Admit the frame-up or the DA's office gets the full deposition, your CI ties, the cam footage, everything. Elias's will stands either way. But this, he tapped the papers. This gives Nate peace. Ray sagged, deflating, and scrawled his name with a pen that trembled. Linda sobbed quietly as they left, the snow muffling their footsteps like a shroud. In the car, heat blasting, Nathaniel buried his face in Isaiah's neck, the sobs racking deep. He knew, he whispered, about Grandpa, all along. Yeah. Isaiah's arms tightened, car idling curbside. And he chose hate over healing. But you're choosing different. Spring thawed the lakefront slow, crocuses pushing through crust like stubborn hope. Nathaniel dove into the windfall, renovating the house solo, gutting the garage for an art studio where sunlight poured through new skylights. He designed murals for the Pride Center downtown, bold strokes of color against gray brick, and Isaiah's practice boomed, cases stacking like cordwood. Their engagement announcement hit Jada's group chat first. Rings incoming, backyard barbecue, June. Cheers emoji flooded in, plans for a ceremony at Edgewater Park, toes in the sand. But cracks spiderwebbed. Ray's trial loomed, misdemeanor tampering, plea bargain down, and whispers circled the family reunion Tina insisted on, neutral ground at a park pavilion. One last try, she pleaded over phone. For Elias. Nathaniel relented, Isaiah at his side like a talisman. The picnic unfolded under poplar shade, aunts in floral shifts, cousins tossing frisbees. The air thick with brats on the grill and potato salad gone warm. Ray arrived last, sober 6 weeks by court order, eyes hollowed. He approached slow, hands in pockets. Nate. A nod, nothing more. They ate in stiff silence, small talk skimming surfaces. Mark's new job at the auto plant. Tina's baby due in July. Then, as dusk painted the sky lavender, Ray cleared his throat. Read the will full after. Elias. He wrote a letter. For me. He pulled a creased sheet from his wallet, yellowed legal pad. Said forgive yourself, Raymond, or lose 'em all. Nathaniel's throat tightened. The words a bridge half built. Did you? Ray's laugh was wry, broken. Trying. A helps. And seeing you, happy. With him. A glance at Isaiah, grudging respect flickering. Didn't think I'd say it, but, congrats. It wasn't absolution, not yet, but it was a start, fragile as new ice. They parted with handshakes, the first in years, and drove home windows down. Wind whipping hair, radio blasting Springsteen. Thunder Road, anthems for the broken-hearted mending. June bloomed riotous, the wedding a whirlwind of wildflowers and well-wishers. Jada officiated in a sundress fierce as her spirit, vows exchanged with lake waves crashing chorus. I promise to frame you only for bad puns, Nathaniel quipped, rings sliding warm on finger. Isaiah's kiss was a vow deeper, sealing promises in salt air. Honeymoon was a road trip, Route 66 echoes, Chicago to Santa Fe, motels with neon buzz and diners serving pie a la mode. They made love in a canyon outside Albuquerque, stars wheeling overhead, bodies etched in red rock shadow. Forever, Isaiah murmured, tracing constellations on skin. Back in Cleveland, life settled like silt. Nathaniel's studio thrived, commissions from queer nonprofits stacking paychecks. Isaiah mentored at the law clinic, evenings tangled on the couch with takeout and true crime docs. But autumn brought ghosts. Grandpa's birthday, a cake from Linda, tentative olive branch. They shared slices on the porch, Ray silent in the corner, the first family gathering without barbs. Then the call. Tina voice fracturing. The baby's early. Complications. They raced to the hospital, halls sterile and echoing, holding vigil in vinyl chairs. Little Elias arrived at 3 a.m., tiny fists waving, lungs bellowing fierce. Ray wept in the nursery window, grandfather at last, and Nathaniel, uncle now, felt the knot loosen, forgiveness seeping in like dawn. But peace is fleeting. A letter arrived weeks later, Postmarked California. Mom. After 22 years silent. Heard about the wedding. Proud of you, kid. Can I come home? Nathaniel stared at the script, heart a war drum. Isaiah read over shoulder, hand on nape. Your call. But whatever, I'm here. The reply took days, words wrestled onto page. Come. But earn it. Humanistic, he thought, grace extended, not guaranteed. As snow dusted the studio windows again, Nathaniel sketched their story. A graphic novel outline, panels of betrayal and bloom. Isaiah posed for the cover, arms open, cityscape behind. Our legacy, he said. Ours? Nathaniel echoed, palette knife in hand. Finally free. The letter from California sat on the kitchen counter like a live wire, edges curling from Nathaniel's restless fingers. Mom's return. After the abandonment, the postcards that dwindled to nothing, the years of wondering if she'd ever look back, stirred sediments he'd thought settled. Isaiah found him there at midnight, head in hands, the loft's underfloor heating humming feudal warmth. Talk to me, he said, sliding into the chair, knee nudging thigh. Nathaniel exhaled slow, the words tumbling jagged. She left because of Dad's rages, the drinking, but I was 7 when she bailed. Left a note saying, be brave. Brave? I spent years thinking it was me, the gay kid brewing in the womb or something. His laugh was hollow, echoing off exposed beams. Now she wants in, post-wedding pics on Facebook. Like that's enough. Isaiah's thumb stroked his wrist, pulse point. It's not, but it's a door. Crack it, see what's on the other side. Or bolt it shut. Your power now. They talked till the city stirred. Trucks rumbling arterials, first light gilding the lake, and by coffee's second pot, Nathaniel drafted the invite. Neutral coffee shop, Saturday noon. No expectations, just truth. Sent. The wait gnawed. Days bleeding into sketches half-finished. Designs abandoned mid-stroke. Saturday dawned muggy. October's Indian summer clinging stubborn. The shop was a hipster haunt in Tremont. Brick walls hung with local art, baristas tattooed and pierced, air thick with espresso and oat milk steam. Nathaniel nursed a black drip, Isaiah across town at deposition, when she walked in. Slimmer than memory, silver threading auburn hair, eyes the same hazel as his own but lined with laugh crow's feet or worry, hard to tell. Nate. Her voice was soft California lilt, hug tentative as if he might shatter. They sat, orders awkward, her a matcha latte, him stirring sugar he didn't need. You look happy. That man in the photos, Isaiah? He's handsome. Lawyer. Partner. Soul. Clipped. Testing waters. She nodded, fingers twisting a napkin to shreds. I saw the news about Ray. The arrest. God, I'm sorry. For all of it. Why now? Nathaniel leaned forward, voice low thunder. 20 years radio silence. Then boom. Congrats on the nuptials? What changed? She deflated, latte cooling untouched. Cancer scare last year. Stage 1 caught early but it clarified. I ran because I was drowning, Nate. Your dad, he turned mean after the layoff and I was young, scared. Thought California would fix me. Didn't. Bounce jobs, relationships, therapy couches. Saw your coming out post on social years back. Brave, beautiful. But pride kept me away. Till now. The confession landed heavy, stirring pity and rage in equal measure. You missed everything. Grandpa's funeral, my first gallery show. The night they framed me and I thought I'd lose it all. Tears pricked, hot traders, he swiped them angry. Isaiah saved me. Grandpa's will. Not you. I know. Her hand reached, hovered, retreated. Don't want forgiveness easy. Just a chance? To know the man you became. They parted with numbers exchanged. A hug that lingered this time. Scent of lavender and regret. Driving home, Nathaniel blasted Motown, windows down, wind scouring clean. Isaiah waited with subs from Potbelly. Debrief over turkey and provolone. How'd it feel? Like exhaling after holding breath too long. Nathaniel chewed thoughtful. Might see her again. Or not. But it's mine to decide. Mom's visit started tentative. Coffee turning to walks in the metroparks, leaves crunching underfoot as she shared snippets. Her pottery studio in Santa Cruz, the partner she'd lost to AIDS in the 90s, regrets strung like prayer beads. Nathaniel listened more than spoke, walls thinning gradual. Isaiah met her over dinner at the house. Grandpa's table, now theirs, wary at first, but her toast to second acts drew his smile reluctant. Ray's sentencing came mid-November. Probation, community service at the rec center, a fine that stung. The courtroom smelled of varnish and old justice, family scattered in pews like shrapnel. Ray stood straight in his ill-fitting suit, judge's gavel falling soft. Rehabilitation over retribution, she intoned, and Nathaniel felt a twinge. Not triumph, but release. After, in the hall, Ray approached, hands out empty. It's done. House is yours clean. Sell it, burn it, I don't care. Just live good, kid. For him, a nod to the heavens, Grandpa's ghost between them. Nathaniel clasped the offered hand, calluses rough as history. You too, uncle. The thaw spread. Holidays at the house. First Christmas with tinsel on beams and Linda's pierogies steaming. Tina's Elias toddled now, chubby fists grabbing Nathaniel's jeans, and Ray bounced him on knee, stories of mill mischief sanitized for tiny ears. Mom flew in, place set at table, her laugh mingling with Isaiah's baritone grace. But undercurrents pulled. Nathaniel's novel progressed, framed in rust, pages of their saga inked raw, but publisher feedback stung, too queer for mainstream. Dial back the romance. He slammed the laptop, frustration boiling. Like my life's a punchline to tone down. Isaiah found him in the studio, paint splattered like war. Then self-pub. Or indie press. Your voice, Nate. Not theirs. They made love fierce that night, reclaiming space, bodies a canvas of affirmation. Winter solstice brought the high. A gallery show for Nathaniel's series. Portraits of queer elders. Grandpa's face central, eyes twinkling eternal. Opening night buzzed. Critics in skinny jeans, buyers with checkbooks. Isaiah in tailored wool beaming pride. Mom bought the first print, tears glossing. He'd love this. Climax crashed New Year's Eve. Blizzard whiteout, power flickering. Family snowed in at the house. Ray, 3 beers deep, cornered Nathaniel by the fire. Truth? I envied Elias. His secrets let him breathe. Mine choked me. Wife jobbed the lie. Confession spilled. Slurred. A kiss stolen in army barracks. Buried deep. Thought framing you would end it. Instead, it broke me open. Nathaniel listened. Fire crackling judgment. Own it then, like he did. No absolution spoken, but in the nod, it bloomed. Midnight struck, cheers and champagne. Isaiah's kiss fireworks under eaves. But dawn brought the call, Mom's doctor, relapse. Stage 3. Flights booked frantic, Isaiah clearing docket. At the airport, her hand in his. You gave me home, Nate. Even late. She fought 3 months. Chemo in sun-drenched rooms. Stories swapped over ginger tea. Nathaniel sketched her portraits, fierce and frail. Isaiah handling end-of-life legalese with gentle steel. She passed in April, cherry blossoms drifting, while leaving pottery shards and a letter. Brave like your grandpa. Love fierce. Grief hollowed, but family rallied. Ray driving them to the cremation. Linda baking lemon bars. At the scattering, Lake Erie swallowing ashes. Nathaniel whispered vows to ghosts. We'll carry you forward. Summer rebuilt. Book launch in June. Framed in rust indie hit. Signings at Joseph Beth with Isaiah beaming. Pride parade floats rainbowed the streets. Them hand in hand. Rings glinting. Ray March 2. Awkward in beads. A quiet redemption. But betrayal's scar itched. A cousin's wedding invite arrived, Mark's girl, big affair. Nathaniel RSVP'd solo. Isaiah buried in cases. At the reception, old wounds reopened. Slurred jokes from distant kin. Glad you cleaned up, Nate. He slipped out, tailpipe glowing in the lot, when Isaiah's text lit. Where are you? Needed air. Voice thick, driving blind through suburbs. Pull over. Isaiah's voice, calm anchor. I'm coming. He arrived 20 minutes, hoodie over scrubs from clinic overtime, sliding in passenger. No words at first, just hand on thigh, radio low with Coltrane. You're enough, Isaiah said finally. Scars and all. We heal together. They drove to the lake, waves lapping dark, making love in the car, urgent, reclaiming. Fog-steamed windows, world outside forgotten. Fall brought harvest. House sold to a young couple starting over, proceeds seeding a scholarship, Elias Hayes Fund for Queer Youth. Ray volunteered admin redemption's labor. Nathaniel's epilogue sketched them at 50. Graying on the porch, stories for grandkids yet unborn. Humanistic close, love's slow victory over fracture. The years unspooled like film reels in Grandpa's old projector, flickering frames of ordinary miracles against Cleveland's steadfast gray. By 35, Nathaniel's graphic novels line shelves at Loganberry Books. Rust and Rainbow's a trilogy now. Tales of framed loves and reclaimed legacies that drew fan mail from kids in Ohio basements sketching their own truths. Isaiah's practice had ballooned into a firm, Cole and Associates, pro bono wing named for Elias. Suits for the sidelined, billboards proclaiming justice without judgment. Their home was a brownstone in Shaker Heights, bought with windfall and will. High ceilings echoing laughter, backyard garden where Isaiah's tomatoes vied with Nathaniel's wildflowers. Mornings started ritual. Coffee on the glider, New York Times crossword inked collaborative, clues traded like foreplay. 7 letters. Betrayal's bite? Isaiah teased one dawn, sun gilding his temple. Backstab, Nathaniel quipped, penciling it in. Laughter bubbled, spilling into kisses that tasted a future. Family wove tighter, threads mended deliberate. Ray, sober 5 years, coached Little League at the rec center, his gruff cheers a far cry from garage snarls. Holidays at the brownstone now. Thanksgiving turkeys brined by Linda, pierogies from her recipe box, Tina's Elias, Jr., towhead terror, chasing cousins through leaves. Mom's urn held pride on the mantle, pottery shards displayed like talismans. Betrayal's ghost visited rare. A parole hearing for a CI Ray had named, old ties tugging. Nathaniel testified neutral, truth without venom, and watched Ray squirm in the gallery, hands clasped white. Did right, he muttered after, clapping shoulder awkward. Proud. Climax revisited in subtler guises. A client at Isaiah's firm. Teen framed for weed by zealot folks, echoes sharp, drew them late nights, strategy sessions over whiskey sours. Like us, Nathaniel said. Fire lit, Isaiah's head on lap. But we won. You won, Isaiah corrected, fingers lacing. I just held the map. Their love deepened roots. Anniversaries at Edgewater, bonfires and blankets, vows renewed impromptu. Still yes, Nathaniel whispered 10th year, sand gritting skin as they coupled under stars, waves him. Adventure called 2 cross-country drives, Chicago gigs where Nathaniel headlined panels, Isaiah networking ACLU. Santa Fe revisited, canyons echoing freer. Detroit for Isaiah's Ma, soul food spreads and stories of Motor City grit. Conflict crested gentle now. A novel sequel stalled, Nathaniel's doubt a fog. What if it's all I got? The pain sells, but joy. Isaiah pulled him to the studio, blank canvas mocking. Paint it anyway, our joy. Brushstrokes birthed Will's echo. Tender arcs of gray hair and grandkids. Forgiveness as plot twist. Launch packed the Winchester. Fans queuing snaking. Ray in corner nursing club soda. Beaming sheepish. Tragedy brushed close once more. Isaiah's diagnosis, routine check flagging prostate shadow. Biopsy waited like thunderhead. Days numb, walks silent, hands clasped desperate. If, Isaiah started one eve, voice cracking. No, Nathaniel fierce, cupping face. We fight, like always. Clean bill came Christmas Eve, relief crashing like cymbals. They danced kitchen to Dean Martin, tears salting spins. Humanism bloomed full. Fund grew. Scholarships sent 20 kids to college. Art, law, trades. Ray retired, volunteering full, Tales at VFW softened. My nephew? Taught me grace. Grandpa's Garage Reborn Community Space. Queer Youth Center. Murals by Nathaniel's Mence Vivid. Opening Ribbon Cut Joint. Ray's Shears. Isaiah's Speech. Nathaniel's Toast. Blood breaks, but chosen kin mends. Old age crept graceful. 50s silvered temples, 60s slowed steps, but hands held sure. Porch glider creaked evenings, sunsets over lake painting gold. Stories spun for Elias Jr.'s kids. Great-nieces wild-haired. Tales of framed boys and saving wills. Love's quiet thunder. Isaiah passed first, 78, heart-giving mid-hike in the parks. Peaceful, they said, rangers finding him smile faint by a trail's bend. Nathaniel scattered ashes lakeside, waves claiming gentle, then wandered numb days, studio dust gathering. But Will's echo saved again. Isaiah's letters, timed releases, monthly missives from beyond, wisdom wrapped tender. Month 6. Remember the kiss in the snow? Chase that warmth. Nathaniel laughed through tears, palate reclaimed. Ray gone next, quiet in sleep, bed by Linda's photo. Funeral packed. Old cops, new kin, Nathaniel eulogizing. He learned late, but loved deep. Alone at 90, Nathaniel rocked porch, novel final in lap, full circle, epilogue their lives. Publisher begged epigraph. He chose Grandpa's, world's bigger. Fly. Penultimate breath, he whispered to wind. Saved me, all of you. Fade to credits. Legacy in lines, love unbound.